Hey everyone, and welcome back to our Space Engineers Survival Tutorial Series. This is episode 4, where we are going to continue to work on our platform. I didn't expect this to take so many multiple parts, but unfortunately it is. Okay, so for this series I've kind of decided on an ultimate goal for it, and that goal is going to be Mars. Okay, so once we work our way through this, if we can achieve the orbit of Mars, or when we achieve the orbit of Mars, I guess I should say, it's not if, it's when, you'll have all the information you need to continue and proceed through this game and build all kinds of interesting stuff. Alright, so I'm going to bring my HUD back up. So, in today's episode, our goal for our survival platform is going to be, at the very least, depending on time, the very least, to get a basic assembler, or not a basic assembler, sorry, a basic refinery, and a cargo container placed on our platform. We also may have to add another wind turbine, and if time permits, say I want to try and keep these videos around a half hour long, maybe tack on a battery, and potentially transfer our survival kit from our pod over to our platform. So those are kind of the goals for today's episode. We'll see how far we can get within that roughly half-hour time frame. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and place a basic refinery onto our little platform here. Now I did check this the other day, so I cheated a little bit. But if we go to our basic assembler and pull things up, we have a fair amount of resources in here. And that is actually enough to get a basic assembler online without having to go ahead and refine or pick up any more. So what we'll do, hit that G key, REF to do a search, hit that basic refinery, come down here, click that plus sign to add it to the build planner, go here, middle mouse to try and withdraw whatever might already be available, and then shift middle mouse to get things into production. Okay, so there is our production queue. Now there's a fair amount of stuff on here. So while we're waiting for that to cook up, there is an unknown signal over there, roughly 2 kilometers away. So we'll go ahead, grab our hydrogen bottle, and we're going to take a little trip. And kind of off to the right there on the screen, there is our ultimate destination, the planet Mars, is where we're going to try to end up and wrap up this particular series once we hit Mars orbit. So we'll scoot on over here and see what kind of goodies this unknown signal has available for us. So dropping in, coming in for a landing. Alright. So go ahead and hit the button so it's not beeping anymore. Yeah, nothing out of it, but that's okay. Alright, so here's our cargo container. What do we got in it? Alright, so we have an enhanced welder, so we're going to be able to weld things faster. Some extra motors and some magnesium powder. I'm going to go ahead and claim this NPC grid so it doesn't suddenly despawn while I'm messing with it. So magnesium powder is primarily used in the manufacture, I'll use that term loosely, of ammo components for stuff like the pistol that we currently have in our inventory. Now, since this is a kind of a tutorial series, I did go kind of light on the PvE elements, but there are PvE elements that you can include in your games that you will want. Some kind of weapon like a pistol or some ammo. And once we get into space, we will find that there are some hostile factions in space as well. Yep, there we go. Nope. Sometimes hitting the exact point on these things can be a pain in the neck. Come on. Sure, just as I turn it off, it hits it. Okay, there's that. Oop. Oh, maybe I'll just leave this piece here. It's making me look bad. There we go. Alright, we have all that stuff. Now we'll head on back to our survival kit. The other thing I think I'm going to do while we're up here is I am going to drop down onto our snow here. I am going to grab some ice. as long as we're using our, since we're using our jetpack, ice is an important resource to grab every once in a while. Thankfully, on the Earth-like planet, we do not need it for oxygen, but as long as we want to use our jetpack and keep going with that, we're going to need that ice to pick up for that hydrogen. Now, our kind of goal for this planet is off to our left, sort of in that direction there. There's a great big ice lake, and so kind of our goal for working on this planet is we're going to go ahead and we're going to build a proper base over by that ice lake once we get our basic platform here up and running. So I'm going to juice the suit up here with a bit more energy. I let it drain probably a little lower than I really needed to. Alright, and then the other thing we're going to do for the moment is hop back in our chair, hit the inventory, and just dump our stuff in here. Now, we did get a better welder, so I'm going to swap those out. I just have to remember now to go, when I get out of the chair, go back down to my toolbar and replace the basic welder in my toolbar with the enhanced welder. Alright, so now we'll head back over here to our basic assembler, which should be finished with its production. All components successfully withdrawn. So search, find our basic assembler on, or basic refinery on our toolbar. Now, here's our basic refinery, and it has 2 points of connection for conveyor ports. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of those ports on that basic refinery and line it up with that port there that is on the basic assembler. So we'll place that, pull out our welder, and hit the button. Now these, once this basic refinery is put up and welded up, those two are now connected. So components like ingots and other things can now pass back and forth between the basic refinery and the basic assembler. Now, the basic refinery has several advantages over our survival kit. Okay, our survival kit over there in the survival pod is only capable of manufacturing or refining, that's the word I want, stone, giving us our iron, our nickel, and our silicon. The basic refinery, on the other hand, has the capability of refining stone as well, but it can also refine raw ores. Now, we haven't been out exploring and really looking for them as of yet, but out there along the, somewhere in this planet, there are ore deposits. Iron ore, silicon ore, magnesium ore, all the different ores, not quite all of them, I guess I should say. Ores like platinum and uranium, those are generally found only in asteroids or maybe on the moon. But all these ores can be refined by the basic refinery. Well, I shouldn't say all the ores. Gold and silver, we need a standard refinery for that. But this basic refinery can refine a lot of the raw ores, while our survival kit can only refine stone. Another advantage to the basic refiner, if we come back over here to our seat, pop the inventory, notice there is scrap metal. Okay, we get scrap metal every time we grind down a battery because the power cells in that battery turn to scrap when you grind them instead of getting them back. Now, for the most part in Space Engineers, when you build a block, when you grind it down, you get all the materials back that you started with. The battery is an exception. So if we come over here to the battery in our survival kit and bring up our welder so you can see what's in it, those power cells, when you grind those down, instead of getting the power cells back, you get scrap metal for those power cells. So now if we go ahead and we come here to the refinery, we open it up, and we grab that scrap and we drop it into the basic refinery, it will break that scrap down for us into a certain amount of iron ingots. Okay, and then we can have, at least get something back from that scrap that grinds down when we grind down a battery. Now, another advantage to the basic refinery over the survival kit, if we take a look at the survival kit, notice that there's some leftover stone in here. Okay, 10.49 kilograms. I'm going to grab that. And since we'll need resources anyway, I'm going to wander over here to our stone mining hole and pick up another and go ahead and pick up another load to kind of demonstrate the next advantage of the refinery over the survival kit. Let's do a little bit of digging here. So I think in the future I will try to limit the amount of digging you have to watch as I mine stuff. That gets the job done for what I wanted to take care of here with our refinery. So another advantage to our basic refinery, actually a couple different advantages to our basic refinery we'll talk about. Go over here, drop the stone in. One thing, it just automatically starts processing. Okay, another thing, look how much faster it processes the stone than what the survival kit did. It's going at a much quicker rate. And the final thing is that we'll observe with the basic refinery is it will refine all the stone. Okay, so it'll take it down right to the last bit, giving us those resources that we need. Whereas in our survival kit, we needed to get at least 100 units of stone before that survival kit would go ahead and completely refine it for us. Okay, so there anyway is our basic assembler. Now if we go into this little panel here, this is the control display, and it shows us all the different things that are attached to our survival platform. Right now we don't have a whole lot. We have our basic assembler, we have our basic refinery, and we have our wind turbine. Now taking a look at the wind turbine, notice it shows the maximum potential output and the current output of our turbine. 381, we'll call it 382 kilowatts is the maximum output of our wind turbine. Now if we go to our basic refinery, notice it's online, so it's drawing 1 kilowatt, but when it's working, it requires 330 kilowatts of energy to function. And if we go to our basic assembler, notice that it requires 280 kilowatts of energy to function when running. So 280, 330, that gives us what, 500, 610-ish kilowatts of energy are required. But notice our wind turbine can only give us 381 kilowatts of energy. So that means we are probably going to want to stick another wind turbine onto our basic platform, especially if we want to be running both the assembler and the refinery at once. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that and get a second wind turbine on there. So in terms of spacing, you can't just put, for optimal performance, you just can't put wind turbines right next to each other. I could conceivably go to the top of that platform and stick actually a wind turbine right on the side of it, so it's sticking out sideways, but it probably would not have the best of output. So we need to build a second turbine tower, but we also need to allow some space between the two to do that. So we're going to need some steel plates to make some blocks. So if I go into to access the inventory through the basic refinery, and then I come over here and click here, this will show me all the inventories of everything that is on this particular station. Okay, so we can now see all the different stuff. And if I want to, I can grab like this iron ingot and I can drag and drop that from the refinery into the survival kit. Or not the survival kit, the basic assembler. Okay, so I can freely move these units between the two different manufacturing blocks that we have here. Now I'm going to want some steel plates, so I can build another tower. However, conveniently, we have some stored over here in our seat. So I'm going to go have a chair again, bring up the inventory, and I'm just going to pull over all 29 of the steel plates that we salvaged from that unknown signal. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to begin the process of adding another turbine tower. So we're going to separate I'm going to give these 8 blocks of clearance from each other. I'll be honest, I don't remember exactly what the optimal separation spread is, but usually 6 to 8 works pretty good. And then we're once again going to go up another 10 blocks. Get things fired up. And we've got 1, 2, 3. Oops, didn't want that there. I wanted it on top, not on the side. So let's see, that's 3. All right, there is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and this is where we want to place our wind turbine. Now to place the wind turbine, we actually need interior plates, not steel plates. So back down to our chair, because we also happen to have some interior plates in here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab all 7 of them, because we will ultimately use those. So grab our wind turbine, up the side and place. And then I'm also going to bring up my welder, click on it once to place the rest of the interior plates in there. So now I have 7 interior plates positioned in there. And then to add it to the build queue, I'm going to highlight it with my welder and click the right mouse button. So now the remaining components for that have been added to my build planner. So come on up, middle mouse button to withdraw anything that might be available, and shift middle mouse button to get the processing started. Now while that runs, I am going to come over here to the survival kit and reload my hydrogen, because I'm really burning through it building my towers here. Right, how's our production coming? Oh, and I am out of iron. So that means it's time to head back to our stone mine here. I can remember where I put it. It's bad when you can't remember where you put your mines. There we go. That's these videos, folks. Unedited and raw. Alright, so we're back in our stone mine. Grab some more stone here to get our the remaining iron that we're going to need to build our wind turbine. Just heard the approach of another unknown signal. I think that's what that was.
Inventory full.
Alright, the suit's telling me I'm overloaded. So I'll jog back on over to our basic refinery and drop in that stone. Now that stone will immediately start to refine, but notice the refinery and the assembler are taking turns because my system does not have enough power to run them both. So we have our first wind turbine doing its best, but again, our refinery 330, our assembler 280. So things are kind of going back and forth between the two as things work to keep up. And we are still out of the iron we need, so back to our stone mine. Try not to get lost this time. Alright, engage those lights. Break out the drill and start drilling some more. Okay, that should be hopefully enough, knock on wood. Let's check our production, because our basic assembler, I mean, we've got what I can do to help this out. Go ahead and briefly, we're going to go into the control panel and briefly turn the basic assembler off. That'll allow the refinery to just continue to do its thing. Still need some more. Still need more iron, I think. Let's see. I guess it's 29.7. Yep, need 33. So one more round of mining. And yes, for the next episode, I will do some pre-digging to get some of these raw materials out and available, so we don't have to do as much during the episode. So I'm sure watching someone dig rocks is not the most interesting thing you've ever done, and probably not the reason you come to YouTube. Alright. Get a little bit more.
Inventory full.
As we're working our way through this, I hope these videos are at least mostly interesting. This game's just something this game is something I've come to enjoy, and I just wanted to, to do something different for myself. Just kind of wanted to bring this online and share it with others. Not that there aren't plenty of Space Engineers videos out there. Some good Space Engineers videos I like to watch are Splitsy. He's a very good Space Engineers YouTuber. Him and another guy, Capac, have some definite shenanigans going on in Space Engineers. Along with he does very good when it comes to tutorial series for Space Engineers as well. And another nice Space Engineers resource for some Space Engineers shenanigans is Captain Shack of XP Gamers, another YouTuber that I enjoy watching his Space Engineers content. So if you've gotten this far in my video and get those references, feel free to give those two individuals a check out if you're interested in Space Engineers as well. They're definitely more experienced YouTubers than I am. Like I said, I just kind of started this for grins, something to do something a little extra, share a game that I enjoy, and who knows, see where it goes. Alright, so anyway, we now have a basic assembler and an extra wind turbine on our survival platform here. So now if we go along and we go back to our control panel, and we take a look at the stuff that's on here now, between our two wind turbines we have 374 and 374. So now if I shift click on both of them, it's not doing what I hoped it would, but I could go ahead and make a block group. So wind turbines, let me spell. Okay, so if we grab that, now we've got a block for the wind turbines. Now, wind turbines not quite as a big deal to block them up, but I just thought I'd demonstrate this particular feature. This really comes in handy when you're working with stuff like thrusters on ships and different things like that, which we'll take a look at. But now notice we have 374 and 374. So now we have, what is that, 740 kilowatts of potential power. So now we have plenty of power output from our two turbines in order to run both our basic assembler and our basic refinery at the same time. All right, so far so good. Next thing we could use, there's a couple different routes we could go at this point. We could work on a battery, or we could work on some storage capacity for our platform. What I think we'll do next is go ahead and work on a battery, because right now we're putting out almost 800 kilowatts of energy and we're not using it. Both of our components here, when in idle, just sitting there, only consume 1 kilowatt of power. So all that extra potential energy is just not getting used. So what we can do is we can go ahead and we can put a battery on the base to store some of that extra power. So if we bring that up, batteries, to initially start them, we need some steel plates for that. And there's a couple different styles of batteries. There's the standard battery here. This is the vanilla, comes with a basic game. And then we have what's called the warfare battery, which comes with one of the DLCs. Functionally, and in terms of components, they're both the same. There's no difference. It's just one looks a little different than the other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to check our chair. I don't think we've got any steel plates left, but I'll take a quick look anyway. Oh, we do. We have 11 steel plates, so let's grab those steel plates. Hop out, go back to our survival platform. I'm going to stick our battery. I'm going to just go ahead and stick the battery right here. And I'm going to use the warfare version of it. Again, functionally the same, it just looks a little neater. And I'm going to place those extra steel plates in it. So now I've got 11 of 20. Right mouse button to add to the build planner. And then I'm going to go over here. Now, there's no components in my inventory if you look, so let's go ahead and add them and get them started. And I know I'm going to need some more iron to finish this project up. So I'm just going to jog over here and do some more mining. Now, our battery is probably going to be the last thing we'll have time for in this particular video today. So I'll work on that. What I'm going to do is, again, as I mentioned, off camera, I'm going to come here and do some mining and get some resources built up. So in our next video, we're not spending quite as much time digging and spending a little bit more time designing and building.
Inventory full.
Because I know that part of it's a bit more interesting to watch than just the digging. So now that we've got plenty of power, though, if I go ahead and drop those in there, notice my refinery can now steadily run and my basic assembler can steadily run as well. Okay, so we've got that extra power from the 2 wind turbines, and so we've got the full production capacity now of both our assembler and our refinery. Okay, it's a little more digging, got a good pile of rocks.
Inventory full.
Jog over here, drop them in the refinery. What are we doing with production? Still got a fair amount of stuff, so we'll just keep jogging back and forth. Okay, there's a pretty pile of rocks. Grab these.
Inventory full.
Yep, inventory full again. I know. What's that doing? How's our production? Still a fair amount of those. 618 units of iron thus far still. Yep, we're gonna have several runs back and forth to our mine here. This is where video editing would be nice too. Again, I'm just kind of starting out with this, and just as something fun to do on a Saturday at the end of my week when I have a little bit of time to myself. And so I don't know how into this in terms of investment I'm actually going to get. Maybe some video editing software if I can find something decent for either a reasonable price, or I know there is a lot of free stuff out there too, but you got to kind of watch the features on it. Yeah, this would be a nice point where it'd be nice to just run back and forth and not say anything and say, yep, I am going to edit this out later, and do a little bit of time-lapse video, so you don't have to watch this and I don't have to try and fill the idle time with conversation. So once we get our survival platform up with
Inventory
some
full.
storage and our battery and some other things, what's everything going to look like? Well, the next step, once we get this survival platform fully up and fully operational, the next goal will be to get us some mobility. We have a few options. We could actually turn this into a flyable machine. I've done that before, or we can just go ahead and design and build our own. So that's going to kind of be the next step once we get all the components put onto our survival platform. All right, so it does look like we're hitting about that magic half-hour mark. So I think I'm going to wrap it and call it a video here. What I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish our battery over there by our turbine tower. And I'm also going to do a bunch of mining to gather up resources for the next components for our platform. Okay, so I hope this has been an enjoyable video for you. If you do have comments, feel free to leave them. I know how the internet can be, so I'm just going to ask, keep them civil and respectable for any comments that are posted. And again, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.